I don't know what is going on in the world today, but I'm having little firestorms. Anyway, third time's a charm, right? As they say. Just got out of the shower. It's been a hell of a day. I mean, not really. I'm a spoiled brat. Let's be honest. And I know it. But I'm tired and I just hurt. My whole body hurts so bad. Finally took a shower. And in the shower had ideas. And I didn't want to extend my wind down, because when I'm done today for the day, finally, I'm done, and I don't want to have to push buttons and fight with technology. So I'm headed for the easy chair and my stories, but I want to get this out first because I might want to write about it later or criticize my ideas, or not in a bad way, but rethink. Anyway, I guess I'm self-therapizing. So, we tend to be told by doctors and as children, from day one, that our immune system is, so what do they compare it to? I think even did the Magic School Bus do an episode on it? Anyway, it's kind of like there are fighters, like our army, our little fighter guys, G.I. Joes. And it occurred to me in the shower that that's horseshit. Our legions, that's our culture. That's our internal, our army is not us. Our army, rides around, and there was a South Park episode that just makes me gut laugh every time, where the kid's freaking out because he's got all these bugs living in him, and he'll die, and the bugs will eat his body, and the bugs will go on. And thinking about what we were talking about before with culture and memes and folk songs and the genres of the age, first of all, I hope that people in the future, if we ruin technology and kill the internet and they don't have access to the fucking cloud, that they look through our dirt and they're like, these people stopped reading books after they wrote one about Edward what was his name? The vampire one, the Twilight. They made Jesus into Twilight, I don't know. So I hope that's not how we go down in history. I hope that's not what we do to the Jesus story. But maybe it's fine, whatever. So the same bacteria that were populating people's bodies when the Jesus of the Jesus story, if he was real, was walking around, are still here. And it's not that bacteria never die, it's just that their life cycles are so much shorter than ours. But the way they pass their genetics and the way that we can say that they're still here is different. But it's not unlike saying I went to the Ancestry website snooping around my bloodline, and Grandpa Heights passed away, so I was able to snoop that side pretty thoroughly, and we can trace the Heights genes to, I want to say it was East Germany. Is Bavaria East? Anyway, around the time of the Black Death, so the biome and the culture and the genetics, I guess I'm getting away from culture right now. I'm talking about genetics. You could say, it's a viney looking tree, but you could say that I am of the stuff that survived the Black Death, and a lot of people are. We're all still here because our people survived the Black Death, right? So all that genetic kind of passing things around, I just don't think that we understand it quite as well as we think, especially when we talk about things like viruses and bacteria and the immune system, especially when we talk about the immune system being an army. It's a really, really poor metaphor. Our immune system is a fire alarm being triggered in our bodies. If you want to get really technical about it, don't listen to me, but there are like 4 or 5 main systems that the fire alarm gets tricked for, and that sets off alarms and 2 or 3 other systems, and your personal, like, physiological, your body, the 50% of this lump that is my genetics, my grandpa's genetics from Germany, and my grandpa's genetics from France, and my grandma's like, that's not your army. That stuff's losing its mind when you're having an immune response. Your army are those bacteria, and it's the culture that they exist within. And the beautiful thing about culture and bacteria is that they're one and the same. And we need to look at ourselves that way a little more. So their environment and their species, or like what they are, what we call them as a culture, is everything. It is the biome, it is the bugs, it is you, it is the shit you feed them. That's your army, guys. We need to be good to the things that live on around us, and it's not, we need to stop using these battle analogies wrong, because yes, there's a battle on, but it's not fucking a moral, righteous, you need to go get yourself vaccinated thing. Another thing that we learn about when we talk about immune systems in medicine is that it's astonishingly sad and like disappointing how little we know about how the immune system works. We think we know how it works, because when you get a quote-unquote normal, healthy immune system, you can kind of you know what to expect, or you know what you're working with. But as soon as you walk into a professional's office who's not an immunologist or endocrinologist, their eyes just kind of glaze over when you start talking about autoimmune. Like, if you've ever had an autoimmune diagnosis, or you know somebody who has, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this like disconnect, like this far away land on the other side of the immune system that a lot of medical professionals want nothing to do with. So that's not okay. That's like the main thing we go to the doctor for, is because our immune system isn't functioning right. We need to know what need isn't being met so that we can right it. And it's getting into hormones with the endocrinology. It starts tipping over into things like diabetes, and I've touched on that one before too, because that has a lot to do with the biome. Diabetes has a lot to do with the immune system and the hormonal systems, the stress response systems, the opioid systems, endocannabinoid systems. Diabetes is a very complex and amazing disorder that we want to call a disorder. We want to say that diabetes is caused by like bad genes. Like, you got bad genes. You're just you're I don't know if it's your pancreas or whatever it is that produces insulin is just stupid, so we just have to shoot you up with more insulin. A lot of medical professionals who went to college and bought the degree just like everybody else are treating diabetes really successfully, and can attest, this is shooting people up with it's not that your body's stupid, sweeties. It's not that you got bad genes. Your body's just different. And immune systems, your body, when that fire alarm gets pulled, bodies are going to respond differently. And COVID isn't just like the flu. COVID isn't like these things that we've been toying with vaccines forever, and we think we know what we're talking about when we talk about vaccines and providing the intel and the material necessary to fight things that we need to be vaccinated against. When we talk about the way COVID works in the immune system, people, professionals and researchers want to give you a straight line answer, but guys, we need to understand that if we make it through this in 10, 20 years, we're going to look back and say, how much of that was a knee-jerk fear response? How much of Fauci saying you don't need a mask was a knee-jerk emotional fear response because they didn't want to cause a panic and they didn't want to run out of masks. And then we ended up opening doors because masks are better than nothing. You really think that wearing that dirty wad of fabric over your face is going to be is going to help your army? And then, we open the doors. As long as you put this dirty, wet wad of fabric over your face, we'll be fine. Don't worry about actually being hygienic, because anybody in their right mind my mom has a mind for hygiene. I love her for that. She knew you don't put a dirty piece of fabric over your face and call it hygienic when everybody's saying the best way to fight this is to wash your fucking hands and be hygienic. Got people like me out there who just cannot help it. I cannot keep my fingers out of my nose. I don't care if I'm in God's dining room. So, another better than nothing solution now is this vaccine that apparently, it does exactly what the immune system says it needs to do, and when we know what the immune system needs, and here you go, then why does lupus happen to people? And can you give me data that says that this is okay to give to people with lupus, with autoimmune disorders? And when you do the research, legally, thank God, the thing that they can say is that, we have no reason to believe it's not, but we have no reason to say that it is safe. And I understand that that's kind of this, you have these people who are already sick and they die anyway if they got COVID, of course. They would die if they got vaccinated if they didn't get vaccinated. If they got COVID if they didn't get COVID. They die anyway. Guys, when you have fair, accurate data, you're going to show a range of response. Generally, your best range of response is going to be right there in that middle. Yeah, I get that. But that's because that's where a lot of people are with their bodies and with their systems. We are finding now that out here on these edges, on these fringes, where these other little bits of data that we want to wipe away and say, oh, they were already too sick to live anyway. It's because there are differences in people, in our physical, genetic bodies that I don't believe are being accounted for here. Not having a body and a physiology that responds the same way as the majority of the people here respond to sugar does not mean being out here means your genetics are bad or that you have to be shot up with what these people have. It just means you have to approach these dietary sugar things differently from these bodies. You've got a funny immune system, and that's about as good as people can get as far as telling you why or simply sort of explaining what an autoimmune disorder or disease is. You have a weird immune system, maybe that's another, you got bad genes. It's not. Your body is different. You have different needs. And it doesn't mean that you need to be shot up with more of what somebody else doesn't have. Maybe there's another way to get that. Or maybe you don't need as much. Or, I know that when I get my blood drawn, my potassium levels are always fine. But if I load up on potassium and I don't feel well, it helps. I don't need it. Doctors say I'm pissing it out. I'm wasting my money. But I know. My heart works better. I can breathe better. I have more energy. Nothing in my blood work says I should need it, but I do. Your immune system is not your army. The legions of support, the legions which live inside and all around us on our surface. We carry them around with us. Who's to say that doesn't have a consciousness? Who's to say that doesn't know when to respond and poop out some serotonin for you? Because they do. They produce all kind of hormones that you don't get from food, you don't get from your immune system. You get it from that biome. You get it from that culture. The immune system is nothing more than the fire alarm being pulled, and the vaccine is introducing trusted teachers. So that next time that fire alarm gets pulled, maybe we can save the building. Are the teachers you're letting into your body trusted? And do you know your body well enough? Do you know the language of your body well enough to know, even though the doctor says, you can't get menopause when you take birth control? Do you know when it's, well, I'm going to stop taking the birth control, and guess what? The menopause stops. We have to be willing to take responsibility for our own health, for our own bodies. The only thing you have dominion over in this life is this, and it's a fuck ton more than you want to admit. Okay, I have to unwind. Today is done. I'm done. I've had it. Good night. Love, love, love.